All right, so today we're going deep, into this story about power and rivalry and some choices that you don't see coming, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
Going all the way back to the Old Testament book of 1 Samuel chapter 26
Okay.
to unpack the drama
Yeah.
between King Saul and his young rival David.
Yeah, it's a story it's captivated readers for centuries.
Right.
And for good reason. I mean, it just grapples with these like timeless questions
Yeah,
about
yeah.
leadership and ambition and really what it means to like choose the right path, even when you're under immense pressure, you know?
Yeah, so set the stage for us. So
Yeah.
we've got Saul, the reigning king,
Right.
and he's starting to kind of unravel a little bit.
Yeah.
He's consumed with jealousy toward David,
Right.
this rising star who's been anointed by God to be the future king.
Yeah. And it's not just like a mild jealousy, it's like full blown paranoia.
Right.
Saul sees David as like a direct threat to his power and it's just like, I gotta eliminate him.
Yeah, he's trying to take him out. We're talking about like actual manhunts here.
Yeah. Manhunts. Yeah.
But then we get to this incredibly tense scene in chapter 26 where David and his right-hand man Abishai, they sneak right into Saul's camp at night.
Yeah.
Saul is totally vulnerable asleep, surrounded by his entire army.
Yeah, this is where the story takes like a really surprising turn.
Oh.
I mean, here's David, he's got like the perfect opportunity to take out his enemy.
Right.
To like take the throne that's supposedly his destiny, you know?
Right there.
But what does he do?
What does he do?
He walks away.
He just walks away.
He walks away. Can you even imagine that? I mean, the pressure must have been immense. Abishai even like urges him to strike, you know?
Right.
He's like, God has delivered your enemy into your hands.
Hold on, wait. I'm picturing this David in the dead of night,
Yeah.
standing over this sleeping king, this king who's been hunting him relentlessly.
Yeah.
You're telling me he just chooses mercy?
He chooses mercy.
That seems, I don't know, almost naive for someone in his position.
It might seem naive, but David's reasoning, it goes right to the heart of his character and his deep faith.
Okay.
He believes that harming the Lord's anointed, the king chosen by God,
Right.
would just be like a grave sin.
Wow.
So he chooses to trust in God's timing,
Okay.
believing that ultimately justice will prevail without him having to intervene directly.
So he's putting his faith in a higher power, even when everything in him is probably screaming for revenge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's got to be incredibly difficult to show that kind of restraint.
Incredibly difficult, yeah. And to make his point even clearer,
Okay.
David takes Saul's spear and water jug and just leaves them as proof that he could have killed him but chose not to.
He's leaving like a calling card.
Yeah, he's making a statement.
Okay, so he's not just slipping away quietly.
No.
He wants Saul to know you were in my power.
Exactly.
And I chose a different path.
Right.
But I have to ask, is this just about religious principle for David? Or is there a little bit of strategy at play here too?
That is a fascinating question. And I think it gets to the complexity of David's character.
Right.
On the one hand, his faith is clearly a driving force for him.
Right.
But, he's also incredibly savvy.
Oh,
By showing mercy, he's positioning himself as the righteous one.
right.
The one who honors God's will.
Oh, so he's playing the long game here.
Yeah.
He's trusting that his actions will speak louder than words.
Right.
And that ultimately God will elevate him to the throne
Right.
without him having to resort to violence.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this doesn't go over too well with Saul though, right?
Well, the next morning, David, he confronts Saul and his army and, reveals what happened.
Oh, wow.
He calls out their failure to protect the king
Okay.
and questions Saul's relentless pursuit, and highlights his own innocence in the whole thing.
I can just imagine the gasps from the soldiers
Right.
oh my gosh, we almost lost our king.
Right.
What's Saul's reaction to all of this?
Well, Saul's reaction is perhaps the most surprising part of the whole story. He completely breaks down. He weeps and acknowledges his wrongdoing.
Yeah.
And he even begs David for forgiveness.
Wow, that is powerful. The mighty king humbled before the man he's been trying to destroy.
Right. It's like something out of a Shakespearean tragedy.
It really is.
It speaks to the idea that, even those in positions of great power,
Right.
they're capable of recognizing their mistakes and seeking redemption.
Yeah, but it's also a testament to David's actions, right?
Yeah.
By choosing mercy, he created this space for this transformation to occur.
Absolutely.
It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
His decision not only spared Saul's life,
Right.
but it opened the door for repentance.
Yeah.
And maybe even reconciliation.
At least momentarily. Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a second. Think about how this ancient story
Okay.
resonates in our modern lives.
Okay.
I mean, we might not be dealing with kings and armies,
Right.
but we all face situations where we're tempted to retaliate,
Oh, yeah.
to get, even when someone wrongs us,
Absolutely.
who hasn't been there, right?
Mhm.
That coworker who takes credit for your ideas,
Right.
the friend who betrays your trust, that frustrating driver who cuts you off in traffic.
Oh, it's so easy.
It's so easy to let those negative emotions take over.
And that's where David's example, I think, becomes so relevant, you
Yes.
know? He
Yes.
reminds us that we always have a choice
Right.
in how we respond to these challenging situations.
We can choose anger and revenge,
Right,
or mercy and restraint,
right.
but choosing mercy,
Yeah.
it's not easy.
No, it's not.
Sometimes it feels like we're letting the other person off the hook,
Right.
like we're weak if we don't fight back.
It's true. It takes incredible strength
Yeah,
to choose forgiveness over anger.
but the rewards can be huge.
Oh, absolutely.
When we let go of that resentment, we free ourselves from all that negativity.
Yeah. You create space for healing and reconciliation, not just for yourself, but for the person who wronged you too.
Yeah, and it's not just about interpersonal relationships.
Right?
David's story speaks to the need for accountability,
Yeah.
which is something we're dealing with all the time, right?
Absolutely.
In workplaces and political systems.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Remember when David confronts Abner,
Yes.
Saul's commander, for failing to protect the king?
Right.
It wasn't about blame or punishment. It was
Yeah.
about upholding a standard,
Right.
a sense of responsibility.
It's like he's saying we all have a role to play
It-
in creating a just and accountable society.
Yes, and that requires us to speak up,
Yeah.
to hold each other responsible,
Even when it's uncomfortable.
even when it's uncomfortable, yeah.
And speaking of uncomfortable,
Right.
we can't forget Saul's humbling moment of repentance.
Yeah, it took courage for him to admit his mistakes,
Yeah.
to face David,
And ask for forgiveness.
ask for forgiveness.
That's huge.
And it's a reminder that humility
Yes.
is just as important as accountability.
Yeah.
That ability to acknowledge our faults,
Yeah.
let go of our pride,
Mm.
make space for understanding.
Essential for growth and reconciliation.
It's not always about being right
Right.
or proving a point.
Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is admit when we're wrong,
Yeah,
let go of that need to be perfect,
yeah.
and create space for vulnerability and connection.
So we've got mercy, accountability, humility.
Yeah.
Powerful lessons we can take from this ancient story.
Powerful.
But I'm also struck by David's trust
Yes.
in a bigger plan,
Yeah.
even when things seemed really bleak.
His faith gave him the strength to make those tough choices, you know?
Yes.
To resist that urge for revenge and trust that God would ultimately bring about justice.
It's a powerful reminder that even when we don't understand why things are happening,
Yeah.
even when we're facing adversity,
Mm-hmm.
we can choose to believe there's a purpose to our struggles.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that act of trust,
Yeah.
letting go of the need to control every outcome,
Right.
that's the most liberating thing we can do.
Absolutely. It allows us to step back,
Yeah.
see the bigger picture,
Yeah.
and make choices that align with our values.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's really hard. It's about surrendering to something greater than ourselves, you know?
Right.
Whether that's faith, a higher purpose, or just the belief that things will work out eventually.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the story of David and Saul,
Okay.
I want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question. So in your life right now, where might you be called to show mercy? Where might you need to practice restraint, to trust in a timing beyond your own? What situations or relationships are causing you to wrestle with these very questions of justice, forgiveness, and the desire for revenge?
Those are really good questions,
Yeah.
because in those moments of choice, we have the power to shape not only our own destiny,
Right.
but also the world around us. I mean, think about it. What if David had just given in to his anger and killed Saul?
Right.
I mean, the course of history could have been drastically different.
It's a butterfly effect, right? It is one seemingly small decision
Yeah,
can have massive ripple effects,
absolutely.
impacting not only our lives, but the lives of countless others.
Yeah, so choosing mercy, practicing restraint.
Right.
These aren't just abstract moral concepts. They have real-world consequences.
And sometimes those consequences are incredibly positive.
Yeah.
I mean, Saul's repentance, however fleeting it was only possible because David chose a different path.
Yeah, he created that space for reconciliation, for healing.
And who knows, maybe just maybe our own acts of courage and compassion
Right.
will inspire others to do the same.
Right.
Create this ripple effect of goodness
The ripple effect, yeah.
that extends far beyond ourselves.
That's a powerful thought.
So as we navigate, the complexities of our modern lives,
Yeah.
let's remember the story of David and Saul. Let's challenge ourselves to choose mercy over revenge, to practice restraint when our emotions run high,
Yeah.
and to trust that even in the darkest times, there's a possibility for redemption and a hope for a brighter future.
It's not an easy path, but it's a path worth taking.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep striving to choose the path of integrity no matter what challenges you face.